Some people never had a hero growing up. And that's not a tragedy. It's a superpower. Most of us are taught to look up to someone. A parent, a celebrity, a leader, a legend. We're told admiration is healthy, that role models give us direction. But what about the people who never felt that pull? The ones who never put anyone on a pedestal? They're not cynical. They're not broken. They're just wired differently. And psychology has a lot to say about it. But these people don't idolize because they see the full picture. They understand that everyone is human, flawed, inconsistent, imperfect. While others see the highlight reel, they see the rough draft. It's not bitterness, it's clarity. They don't dismiss greatness. They just refuse to worship it. And that changes everything. Let's talk about what happens in their mind. First, they develop radical self-reliance early. When you don't idolize anyone, you stop waiting for permission. You stop thinking someone else has the answers you don't. You realize you're the only one who can figure it out. That's terrifying at first. But then it becomes freedom. Most people outsource their identity to their idols. They adopt their style, their beliefs, their voice. But people who don't idolize, they build from the ground up. Every value is tested. Every belief is questioned. Nothing is borrowed without inspection. It takes longer. It's lonelier. But the result is authentic. Here's where it gets interesting. Research shows that people who don't idolize tend to have higher internal locus of control. That means they believe their life is shaped by their choices, not luck, not genes, not some hero's blueprint. They take full responsibility for their wins and losses. And that's a double-edged sword. On one hand, it makes them resilient. They don't crumble when their role model falls from grace, because they never had one to begin with. They don't feel betrayed when someone disappoints them. They expected humanity, not perfection. On the other hand, it can feel isolating. When everyone around you is obsessed with someone, and you're not, you start to feel like an outsider, like you're missing something everyone else has. But you're not missing it, you're just seeing through it. Now let's talk about admiration versus idolization, because they're not the same thing. People who don't idolize can still admire. They respect skill, they honor achievement, but they don't elevate the person above themselves. They see greatness as inspiration, not instruction. Think of it this way. Idolization says, I could never be like them. Admiration says, if they did it, maybe I can too. One creates distance. The other creates possibility. People who don't idolize live in the second mindset. And here's the twist. They often become the ones others idolize, because they're not trying to copy anyone. They're not a reflection of someone else's image. They're original, unfiltered, raw. And that's magnetic. But let's dig deeper into the psychology. Why don't some people idolize in the first place? Often, it starts in childhood. Maybe they saw their heroes fail up close. A parent who seemed perfect but wasn't. A teacher who let them down. A celebrity who turned out to be hollow. That early disillusionment can shape everything. It teaches them that perfection is a performance, that everyone is playing a role. And once you see that, you can't unsee it. Or maybe they grew up without a clear role model. No one to point to and say, be like them, so they had to figure it out alone. And in that solitude, they discovered something powerful. They didn't need someone else to believe in. They just needed to believe in the process. Here's what's fascinating. People who don't idolize are often hyper-aware of bias. They know that admiration clouds judgment, that when you idolize someone, you ignore their flaws. You defend them when you shouldn't. You excuse behavior you'd never tolerate in anyone else. So they keep their distance. Not out of arrogance, but out of honesty. They'd rather see the truth than live in illusion. And that makes them incredibly grounded. But there's a dark side too. Sometimes not idolizing anyone becomes a defense mechanism, a way to avoid disappointment. If you never look up to anyone, no one can let you down. It's safe. But it's also limiting, because connection requires vulnerability. And vulnerability means risking disappointment. People who don't idolize sometimes struggle with that. They keep others at arm's length emotionally. Not because they don't care, but because they've been burned before. So if you're someone who doesn't idolize anyone, here's the question. Are you protecting yourself or are you isolating yourself? There's a difference. One is wisdom. The other is fear. And if you're someone who does idolize others, ask yourself why. Is it inspiration or is it avoidance? Are you learning from them or hiding behind them? Because the goal isn't to stop admiring people. It's to stop using them as an excuse not to become yourself. Here's the truth. The healthiest mindset is somewhere in the middle. You can respect greatness without worshiping it. You can learn from others without losing yourself. You can admire someone and still hold them accountable. People who don't idolize anyone have cracked part of the code. They've realized that no one is coming to save them. That every hero is just a person who kept going. And that the only person you truly need to believe in is yourself. But here's the final layer. Not idolizing anyone doesn't mean you walk alone. It means you walk alongside others as equals. You respect their journey without making it your religion. You take what resonates and leave the rest. And maybe that's the real superpower. Not needing a hero. Not waiting for permission. Just moving forward one step at a time. Trusting yourself enough to figure it out. If this resonates with you, drop a comment. Tell me, do you idolize anyone, or do you walk your own path? I read every single one. And if you want more psychology breakdowns like this, hit subscribe. There's a lot more coming. Because the mind is the most fascinating place on earth. And we're just getting started.